Good afternoon. My name is Alena Shautsova. I am an immigration attorney from Brooklyn, New York. In today's Legally Speaking seminar, I would like to talk to you a little bit more about U visas or U status. U visa or U status can be afforded to those who became victim of certain criminal activity in the United States or its territories. The list of activities that qualify for the U visa, or the list of crimes for victims of which can qualify for U visa, is actually listed in the instructions to the U visa application form. Application form I-918. And as an example, it lists 31 different crimes, and also a similar activity can qualify to be an activity for which a person who suffered from it can apply for a U visa. So examples of those activities can be abduction, manslaughter, murder, obstruction of justice, perjury, prostitution, rape, sexual assault, slave trade, torture, stalking, domestic violence, extortion, and so on. There are 31 different activities listed, but don't forget, similar activity can be qualifying basis for the U visa as well. In addition, for the activity that listed, a person has to suffer a serious injury, serious consequences of that activity. And one important factor that many forget about is that U visa can be granted, or U visa status can be granted only to those who receive U visa or U status certification. And in that certification, a law enforcement official or a judge has to state that a victim of that crime, of that criminal activity, was helpful or can be helpful in investigation of that activity and prosecution of the person who committed these criminal acts. It is very important to remember that. Why? Because recently I encountered situations when people come to me and they state, well, I was a victim of the activity, of the criminal activity that seems to be a qualifying activity, but when the prosecutor asked me to be a witness, or when the prosecutor called me and started asking questions, I became nervous and I didn't cooperate with the prosecutor or the police. I didn't sign a statement to the police. Can I still get the U visa? The answer probably will be no, and this is why. The reason why the U visa status exists is that the United States can fight the crimes and can prosecute criminal activity. And if you as a victim, and the victim usually is the key witness, as a victim and a witness to the crime, do not help the government to go after the criminal, then the government doesn't have a reason to help you with your status. And your status is very, very beneficial. It is beneficial because in addition for the status that eventually leads to green card and citizenship, it erases a lot of, or almost all, grounds of inadmissibility and deportability. For example, only U visa, at least to my knowledge, can help those who are subject to permanent bar. Let's say a person was in the United States for 1 year, legally was deported or left to the country, or just left outside of the United States and returned illegally. Such a person usually will be subject to a permanent bar, and there is nothing that this person can do to fix their immigration status, no matter how many years they live in the United States, if they have a U.S. citizen spouse or children or parents. But U visa helps people in these situations as well. So that's very, very important that you do provide information that prosecutor or the police ask you for, and you do respond to their phone calls and their letters, because otherwise you will not be able to get the U visa status and you will lose the opportunity. Technically, there is no expiration as to when you can request the U visa certification, but from experience I would say that the sooner you do it, the sooner after the activity occurred, activity in question, criminal activity occurred, you go to the prosecutor and ask, then the more successful you will be. Sometimes the officials say that the person actually, the criminal who committed the crime, actually has to be convicted for you to receive the certification. But the law doesn't say that, because if you are a victim of the criminal activity and the law enforcement signs that your certification, you can proceed with your application. Different offices in different counties have different policies on that, but you just need to be aware. It's the U visa certification is a very serious step in towards the U status, and you really need to make your best effort to receive it. Sometimes in certain counties, let's say in Brooklyn, there is a center that helps victims of qualifying criminal activities to receive the U visa certification. Sometimes you're on your own, but from my experience, almost every office has a designated person. Every district attorney's office has a designated person who is considering U visa certification requests. And by calling the district attorney's office, you can find out who that person is, what their phone number, and reach out to them. But remember, without cooperation, your chances of getting your certification are slim to none. You can find out more about the U visa status and how to apply for it and what the benefits of the status are on our website, www.shautsova.com. Thank you.